So one of my top 5 black culture privileges is family. I'll elaborate. Family in the sense that.
I'm gonna cry. Go on, Justin.
So for me, growing up, as you said, be specific, Igbo, Nigerian, etc., etc. You know, I grew up with my uncles and aunties or older older people in my family who are called uncles and aunties, etc. Right? So their kids, their kids become.
Sorry, Justin.
Are we doing it again? Seriously,
No.
I don't get one point across. No, I can't just finish one in
no.
entirety. Then we have a conversation about it afterwards. Like, is this not possible? Like, how many podcasts you guys been listening to? I don't give a fuck about your hand being up.
I was gonna
You purposely did that.
I was gonna keep my hand there, but then Daniel started doing the Jamaican zup zup. Like,
Then let him zup zup. People will see the zup zup. They can laugh if
You
they
weren't
want
supposed to mention. You weren't supposed to say nothing, man. Let it be.
No.
I'm sick and tired of this shit.
Let Justin talk, man.
You just won't let me. You won't allow it.
The worst thing is you sound so English in your complaint.
Of course, I'm angry. I'm from here. For fuck's sake.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right.
When are you gonna realise?
I was gonna ask you because if like as you were talking, I don't need to talk more if it's the same thing that we were talking about.
So why don't you let me finish?
Because I was going to ask you, do you mean the village?
Did you not go to school where they say save your questions till later?
I didn't go to the kind of school you went to. We fucking ask questions when we want to.
That's not true.
We ask questions when we want to.
Daniel, you went to school. Is that true? Did your teacher say exactly?
This is not true. Our teachers were not having it.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
Don't try to.
Hold on, wait.
Don't try to say
French. Were you? I don't. No.
Sorry,
he wasn't even in my classes.
I was gonna say
This
must have been English. We were in different classes in English.
Yeah.
They didn't like
and French.
Yeah, and French.
Yeah, and what did I get in French? And what did you get in French?
I got the capital of French. What did you get? Anyway, Justin, it's your turn. Family.
So
you made me laugh like a Frenchman. Oh, sorry.
Justin,
as you were saying, Justin.
That's my turn. Okay. So one of my top 3 black culture privileges. Oh, let me think. Family. So family. Yeah, I started it again purposely. It might make a new edit. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, family.
It won't.
Well, shut up. Do you know what? I'm gonna be petty. And you're doing it again. All right, I'm gonna start again. So, it's my turn. Okay, cool. So, one of my top 5. One of my top 5 about black culture privileges.
I'm listening. You were funny, so I laughed. You were upset that you made a joke and I laughed.
No, I'm upset that. Can you mute your mic? Something. I don't know.
All right. I'm good.
Oh my days! You know how much this fucks up the edit?
No, you've got a whole fucking shitty
Nicholas,
photo
put your
of me.
video back on, please.
You've got a whole
This is awesome because it means that you're gonna have to edit and start on my question. Yeah.
No, the thing is, you've got a whole shitty photo of me that's gonna make it okay.
No, it's a lot more than that. I've got to change the whole framing and stuff. Fucking hell.
So we'll wait for Nicholas to come back on.
And see, Justin planned this. He's an evil genius.
Yes. So
I'm up to a gigabyte of audio.
So, what? It's my turn. Oh, okay, cool. So, one of my top 5 of black culture privileges is probably gonna be family. It's okay. I'll elaborate. So, family in the sense that growing up as a Nigerian Igbo, etc., in South London, loads of my uncles and aunties are people that I refer to who are my elders, essentially. Now, it was only until I was a certain age when I was hanging around with my cousin and my dad was saying to me oh, you and your cousin are quite close and stuff. I was like, yeah, she's cool and stuff. And he said, so what, is anything going on? I was like, huh? I was like, why would I have anything to do with my cousin like that? He goes, what do you mean cousins? Stop being stupid, that's not your cousin. I'm like, wait a minute. You guys, have put us into this culture and said, that's your uncle, that's your auntie. So obviously they're children of your cousins. And then, shut up, nonsense. That's what we just called them, innit? Like, it's just your uncle and auntie, innit? So I'm just yo.
I'm so curious about this,
Yeah, it's so interesting. It really is. So like, I'm like, yo. So then you grow up with essentially a community that you believe that you're like part of this huge family. But then when you
Yeah.
ask questions about like, mum, like, how is that your auntie? Oh, you know, like da da da. And then some reason it's like they waffle their way through to make it make sense. And you're like, okay, cool, all right, that makes sense. But then as you get older, you realize that actually these are people that come from a similar area, or they know their villages where they were, how far they were from them, and they were in the vicinity. So they essentially see themselves as one. And obviously, with Igbo culture as well, um, uh, it's a long story. But anyway, but like depending on where you're from and whatever, depends. Like, oh, okay, cool. We share the same culture. We know each other and whatnot. So they would know someone's dad or whatever. So the family community aspect gets much bigger. So they've adopted or adapted even that understanding to when they come over to Britain.
Yeah.
And then someone comes from somewhere similar. It's like, oh my gosh, they lose their minds. Oh my gosh, yes, we got to do this meeting. We got to come together every week or every month or whatever. And then when that starts to happen and they become friends, etc., they have kids. So when they introduce us, that's your uncle and auntie because you say it out of respect. So then their children become your cousins, or what you use term as the English way of saying they're your cousins, but they're not really your blood cousins. But then what it means is that you have this massive community and family of people that know each other really well, or you have so many options of where to go, like the different people that you'll meet, but they're all from this. They have very similar ideals and understanding. So growing up, me and my cousins could all cry together. Do you know what I'm saying about how our parents would treat us this way and whatever and whatnot? They'd be like, "Oh my god, mine too." You're like, "What?" So you felt like a real strong connection, like a real
Yeah.
family connection growing up. And then
You
obviously
know,
when you
the
get
whole
older,
uncle and auntie thing was something that I struggled to I'd get down with when I was younger. When I first started linking up with Africans, because like I must call you auntie. You're not my auntie. Leave me alone.
yeah,
But we still had the same kind of community. It was just I had people that I called auntie and uncle, but
you just like them.
no, it was like I was told that this was my auntie. It wasn't like I was supposed to call everybody who was an adult, who was a part of my community, uncle and auntie. I was told that is auntie this person and that is uncle that person. They were told me that like that's what their names are. But this cultural thing where I'm disrespecting you by calling you what you told
By
me your
your
name
first
was.
name.
Winifred.
I went radio for it, man. But it's something I really appreciate. So I like that side of family is definitely going on my list. Really
I
appreciate that, and it really feels like a really black thing. The fact that your whole community just becomes a part of your family. Like, for me,
definitely.
my cousins were like my brothers and sisters,
Yeah.
and my friends were like my cousins.
Right. Yeah.
So the whole family community just became the people who were around my family became a part of my family, and just the way you spoke about it, and it's a warming, wonderful thing, and we've carried it on now. We've got like friends who our kids call uncle and auntie that I wouldn't have expected to have done that, but
Yeah.
it's just carried on that way, you know.
And it's not a thing that essentially is a bad thing as well. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, well, they're not
Definitely
your
not.
uncle because that's not really my brother. But like, because the need to specify, which is why I understand where my parents were coming from, the need to actually explain to you that, oh, they're actually not family, so you don't need to be as close, was irrelevant. Because it was the idea of actually, no, it's beautiful for us to come together and help each other and do things and whatever. And I'm sure the same with me. Like if I was to have kids, like your kids would call me uncle, which would be jokes, but I would get it and I wouldn't be like, hey, I'm not your uncle, because it does give you a real sense of community. And I really, once I realized that what the truth was, it actually made me appreciate my cousins even more so because it became more solidified. Like, oh, actually, cool. Like our parents have gone through a lot, etc., etc. So actually, to come from there, as people are strangers and don't know what life in England's going to bring, and then for them to come here and then unify under this whole idea of community, still is quite powerful, man.
Do you know what? Being as literal as I am, it's probably taken that aspect of my life. The whole all these adults are your like all these people who are outside of your family are actually your family has meant that I've been very selective with my friend choosing. Like I never had a group of friends. I had my friends. These were my specific friends, and those were acquaintances. That's something I hear people talking about as adults, like realizing who their friends are. But I had that from when I was young, just because I was that literal. Like, these are my friends, and they are my friends because they are worthy of breaking that barrier and being my cousins. Like, these, my friends are worthy of the way that I see people, like white people or Asian people or whatever, just people who aren't a part of my community. They spoke about the way they spoke about their cousins is the way that I felt about my friends. The way they spoke about their siblings was kind of like the way I felt about my cousins. And
Okay,
my actual siblings was just something a lot more.
Yes, I agree totally. I want to let you know I was chiming in for so long and I didn't know I was on mute. I was like, you guys are disrespecting me so much, and I was like, I did this to myself.
Who muted
I
you?
did this to my.
You muted himself,
me.
man.
I muted myself because I was doing stuff.
Being respectful.
And I forgot because I didn't want to interject because you got upset because you started like 17 times. And I was just like,
I didn't
that's
really
why
get
I
upset.
asked, is this like the village that you were talking about? It takes the village to raise a family or whatever, but it's a different thing, I guess you're talking
Yeah,
about.
it is. Yeah, you know, like
No, it's the same, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you know, yeah, I mean,
It takes the village. This is
Yeah.
your uncle. He's not directly related to me by blood, but like he's my family.
But the thing is, with that village reference, it goes beyond the people who
I'm
you
sorry,
would.
you don't have villages in Jamaica. You just have townships and pasa pasa and vibes cartel and bounty
Shut
killer.
up, the village that helps raise your children goes beyond the family and the extended family and the people who are not really a family that you call family. It actually goes even further than that. It goes to the schools that who are got nothing to do with your family. They are part of your village, and it goes to the friends who are just acquaintances, but they come by your children and they
Is that
do
with an
things.
F or a TH?
That's an F.
Okay.
They don't have what we have.
Oh my god! Zoop zoop.
and you know, like what's interesting as well is like, you know, I remember my mum and dad telling me that the whole idea of like something like adoption, for example, in Western Africa is a bit of a it doesn't really, they don't understand it or see it, because say for example there's a complication, you know, someone's mum dies or whatever and the baby's young, the family just takes them in.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It's not complicated. It's not like, oh, you know,
It's not an official process. It's just
yeah.
done.
And then that child will grow up believing or thinking, well, this is my mum, that's my dad. And then they have no reason, or they feel like they have no reason to define it or to explain it, because after all, there's a shelter over your head. Do you know what I'm saying? We're doing all the things. But it's that kind of mentality. So it's like, well, you're part of a family. Why would you even question your identity or where you're really from? Who cares? Like, it's such a, yeah. And I think that's quite, I mean, I can see where the issues would be, but still at the same time, it's quite a warming, like, idea, if you like.
Yeah.
That's it.